between net and gross emissions, and it's also there to show the role of forestry, because New Zealand is actually very unique in that the way in which land use change in forestry impacts on our emissions profile is pretty dramatic. And the first thing I'd point out for you in the top graph is that during the 1990s there was huge new plantings of forests. About another 600,000 hectares of forests were planted in the 1990s. And those forests provide us with some benefit and buy us some time, in the sense that as those forests grow and absorb carbon, under the Kyoto rules we get some credits. The bad news is, when those trees reach a loggable age and they are harvested, then that becomes a big negative. Now, if you look at the graph here, you may say, well, given that New Zealand's emissions have increased by about 25%, how come New Zealand's Kyoto balance is about zero? Well, we should thank the foresters. Because what the graph is showing is in the period from 2008 to 2012, despite the fact that our net emissions are 25% above, we got a get-out-of-jail-free card by those forest owners offsetting that. Now, the problem is, when those forests come to be harvested of that age, it makes New Zealand's emissions look very, very ugly. And so whoever, and I'm sure it will not be me, as the climate change minister in the 2020s, is going to have to come up with some pretty good excuses for those same forests that are making my job easier today, are going to make the job who was ever minister in the 2020s very difficult to explain in the international community. The further thing I'd highlight is there was a rapid period of deforestation that occurred prior to the emissions trading scheme coming in. I.e., there was this rapid period of deforestation, the only deforestation that's occurred post-World War II. And you only need a relatively small amount of deforestation to make the numbers look real ugly, real quick. Now, thankfully, they cut the trees down before the rules of Kyoto clocked in. But the key purpose of showing this graph is for you to understand, firstly, that those that plant trees and harvest them have a really big impact on New Zealand's emissions. And secondly, that by planting trees, we don't have a complete solution. All we do is buy ourselves some time and push the problem out into the future, albeit it's important that we do get some tree planting. Now, the discussion tonight is very much summed up in this graph. It shows